Elon Musk just revealed his personal key to success. And trust me, you do not want to miss this. In this interview, Elon Musk talks about just how important hard work is and answers one of the toughest questions faced by any entrepreneur. How do you differentiate between an actual idea worth pursuing versus wishful thinking that will destroy your life? Through his personal experience with Tesla, SpaceX, and all the rest of the companies he's run, Elon Musk gives what he thinks is the best advice to young entrepreneurs starting out. Take a look.
I think certainly being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else, and just being really rigorous in making that assessment, because people tend to, a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? And that is a really difficult thing to tell you. Can you tell the difference between those two things?
Right.
You know? So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self-analysis. I think certainly extremely tenacious, and then just work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100-hour weeks every week.
Gosh,
And
that's
then
a lot of work.
all those things improve the odds of success.
Okay.
I mean, if other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that in 1 year you will achieve what they achieve. You will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve.
So there you have it. Hard work and rigorous assessment to make sure your idea is actually worth the effort you're putting into it. Plus the 80-hour work week. Time is money, and this guy understands that. You need to go above and beyond when it comes to business. Otherwise, you're never going to make it. Elon Musk himself used to work more than 100 hours a week. In fact, he even used to stay the night at the Tesla factory when first starting out. That is the kind of determination you need if you want to succeed. Number 2, communication is important. And that's what we have Elon Musk talking about next. How and why is it important for you to communicate your ideas and convictions to the people you're working with? As it turns out, he also mentions the secret to making a good company. Check it out.
First of all, I certainly don't think I can, do anything or do most things that people think are impossible. Because I think a lot of what people think is impossible is actually impossible. But occasionally it's not. I guess it's. I don't think I've said this before. I think it's helpful to have kind of a physics framework for looking at things. Do a first principles analysis, look for negative feedback, really believe in what you're doing, but not just from a blind faith standpoint. Like to have really thought about it and say, okay, this is true. I'm convinced it's true, and I've tried every angle to figure out if it's untrue, and sort negative feedback to figure out maybe if I'm maybe wrong. But then after all that, it still seems like this is the right way to go. Then that I think gives one a fundamental conviction and an ability to convey that conviction to others, and to convince them to join. And that's what a company is. It's a group of people who come together to create a product of some kind. And so if you can convey that and answer the concerns that people have, convince them that this is something that needs to be done, it's important, and here is a path to do it, even if that path has a lot of danger associated with it and risk, and maybe it won't succeed. But people can understand, okay, this is why it's important, and even if the odds are that it won't succeed, it's worth trying to do it. Then I think you can create a great company.
Number 3, why do most companies fail? In this interview, Elon Musk talks about how wishful thinking is the #1 reason most new startups fail. People filter out the bad until it gets too big to filter, and by then, the company's destroyed.
Well, I think it's important to have a very to apply critical thinking to. This may sound trite, but to apply critical thinking to what one is doing, by that I mean just the fundamentals of logic. You know, do you have the right axioms? Are they relevant, and are you making the right conclusions based on those axioms? That's the essence of critical thinking, and yet it is amazing how often people fail to do that. I think wishful thinking is innate in the human brain. You want things to be the way you wish them to be, and so you tend to filter information that you shouldn't filter. That's the most common flaw that I see.
Before we move on, if you like these videos, why not subscribe to the channel and ring the bell too? All done? Let's move on. Number 4. Starting a new business is not easy. What's the first thing you need when starting one? Well, according to Elon Musk, it's a high pain threshold. In this interview, Elon Musk talks about how you can make sure your new business doesn't fail and you come out on top at the end. His advice? Honest critique from your friends. People that see your hard work and genuinely want to help you will always give you genuine advice.
First of all, I'd say starting a business is not for everyone. You know, so generally, starting a business, I'd say #1 is have a high pain threshold. That's it. There's a friend of mine who's got a good saying, which is that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Okay, that's generally what happens, because when you first start a company, there's lots of optimism and things are great, and then so happiness at first is high. Then you encounter all sorts of issues, and happiness will steadily decline, and then you'll go through a whole world of hurt. And then eventually, if you succeed, and in most cases you will not succeed, and Tesla almost didn't succeed, came very close to failure. Then if you succeed, then after a long time, you will finally get back to happiness. I think 2 is you've got to make sure that whatever you're doing is a great product or service. It has to be really great. And I go back to what I was saying earlier, where if you're a new company, I mean, unless it's like some new industry or new market that, if it's an untapped market, then you have more ability to, the standard is lower for your product or service. But if you're entering anything where there's an existing marketplace against large entrenched competitors, then your product or service needs to be much better than theirs. It can't be a little bit better, because then you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, and they say, why would you buy it as a consumer? You're always going to buy the trusted brand unless there's a big difference. So a lot of times, entrepreneur will come up with something which is only slightly better. And it can't just be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better. Number 3, I'd say, is constantly seek criticism. A well thought out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. And you should seek that from everyone you can, but particularly your friends. Usually your friends know what's wrong, but they don't want to tell you because they don't want to hurt you.
So they'll lift you up, so
so they'll say, oh, I want to encourage my friend, so I'm not going to tell him what I think is wrong with his product.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your friends are right, but very often they are right. And you at least want to listen very carefully to what they say. And to everyone, if you're looking for, basically, you should take the approach that you're wrong. That you, the entrepreneur, are wrong. Your goal is to be less wrong.
Number 5. What do you think gets Elon Musk out of bed in the morning? If you said it's a cup of coffee, I'm sorry to say you're wrong. It's actually the thought of a brighter future. In this interview, Musk talks about how he wants to change the future, and that's what gets him out of bed in the morning.
I think that the thing that drives me is that I want to be able to think about the future and feel good about that. That we're doing what we can to have the future be as good as possible, to be inspired by what is likely to happen, and to look forward to the next day. So that's what really drives me is trying to figure out how to make sure that things are great and going to be so, and that's the underlying principle behind Tesla and SpaceX. Is that I think it's pretty important that we accelerate the transition to sustainable generation and consumption of energy. It's inevitable, but it matters if it happens sooner or later. And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary, and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo.
And now on that note, we must end the video. I hope you enjoyed all of our picks for today. And if you did, be sure to leave a like down below. With that done, I'll see you all next time.